Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm James.
And today we are at the picnic table with breaking news. Dun, dun, dun!
So, during last night's thunderstorm, one of our apple trees fell on our chicken coop. So, we don't know if any were harmed or not.
So let's find out.
So as the kids mentioned, we had quite the storm last night again. Torrential downpour, thunder, lightning, wind, and our big apple tree in the garden did fall. We'd lost a branch on it last year. We knew it was in rough shape, but this year, as you can see, absolutely loaded in fruit, which I'm sure probably added to the situation with the weight that was on this branch. So unfortunately, they aren't quite ready. Some of them are edible, but we'll show you what we got going on here. It probably would have broke anyways as these apples got big. I'll put my hand next to one here so you can just see. They're already getting to be quite the decent size. But it was just loaded. As you can see, didn't really damage the runs at all.
We are at the chicken coop, and as you can see, this is the damage. And as you can see, this is a pretty big tree.
Yeah.
Because I can't lift it even though I'm as strong as Hulk.
Oh, Alex.
It's too heavy. We are going to make some of it into firewood, like this bit, because if we use this, a bunch of pieces like this, those would be good for kindling.
We're also going to give some of the bad apples to the bunnies and sheep. For
pretty much everything eats it.
And this tree is covered in apples, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah. It's a crying shame. It was like, last year there was no apples on it. It was like,
There's only a couple.
yeah, but now it's like, it was the mother load. It's like, yes, we're going to have a whole whack load of apples.
A couple of these kinds, like this and this and this.
Yeah, there's some new branches coming.
There's a couple new branches coming that we will be able to clone, so we can have a couple of these apple trees.
We may not clone them. I think we should just train those couple branches and keep it a little shorter from now on.
Yeah, because we won't even be able, most of those we couldn't reach.
No, we have to wait until they fall off, except for this one branch, which hopefully lives. So we will get some off this tree, but I do think we might just take it all down and see what we can do with these younger branches that are trying to grow. How did your chickens fare?
We have not found
We have not
yet.
checked about it, but we can hear them
Clucking
whining.
around.
Should we see if they want to come out?
Yeah. So there's supposed to be 5, and we're going to do a head count.
And we're also going to let them out if they can peck these apples.
Let's see.
You probably won't get the door right open.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5.
The chickens all seem okay. I'm sure they got a little bit of a shocker when that tree hit. So all chickens are accounted for in here. We still have a usable run. The building is still usable but needs some repairs. But we probably should take a look around the rest of the property to see if there was any other damage to any other trees. Might be in for some surprises, but this is a sad day for this tree to go down. But we are going to make use of all these wonderful apples. We're going to gather up and store some for the pigs as fodder food. We're going to cut some of these branches with apples for the bunnies today for food. And as Alex stated, the rest is going to become firewood. So nothing will be wasted. Well, we have fed all the bunnies branches full of apples and barely made a dent. You can see our little circle here where we kind of cut out. We have to definitely gather up all the apples that have fallen here. Pigs love that sort of stuff, so we're going to gather up as many as we can and store them. Hopefully down in the basement they'll keep. To be honest, one thing I'm wondering is if we leave it, if these apples might keep going. There's a lot of life in the tree. The trunk didn't completely break off. I'm really curious to see what happens. Obviously we have to get the stuff that's hanging in the garden out, but maybe an experiment would be to leave it and see if they still ripen enough to use, because we're not going to get all of them and we certainly can't feed them all. Not in short form anyway. So it is one of those things, those surprise jobs that come up that weren't even on the list, that you had no idea were going to happen, and bump everything else in order to keep that stuff moving and get sorted out. So without further ado, we're going to keep tackling this tree, but I think we might just leave some of it where it is and see what happens with these apples, because it seems a shame to waste so many apples. But they kind of have a bit of a golden delicious kind of taste to them, and they're not quite ripe, but maybe with another week or so hanging on these branches, they might get ripe enough to use. So anyways, we'll see. Watch this space and we'll keep you posted on what we do. So we're back in the cattle pasture and horse pasture, I guess, and I'm just kind of checking the fence lines to see if anything else had happened, and here we go. One of our big monster sumacs, you can see they get really big, had broke here, and only had just hit the fence, so I just kind of broke off a few branches that were touching. We'll come back and deal with this at a later date, but at least it's back where it's not grounding out for now. That was our first thing that we found on the trip. Let's see what's on the rest of the pasture. Cows and horse are accounted for after the storm last night. We do leave our animals out at night. It wasn't supposed to storm, but anyways, it is what it is. So far back here, I'll flip you around. No damage back here, so that's good. Nothing we have to worry about or deal with today. Unfortunately, we are out of grass. It is time to get this crew moved. As you can see, we're feeding up kind of the last of last year's hay to them, but it's time to get going on another pasture. News report or not, the gist of this story, I think, is that even though we've lost a really good apple tree, we are going to make good use of it. We've already fed bunnies, collected for pigs, and barely made a dent in what is there. So hopefully we can use it up in the next week or so. I don't think the tree itself will last that much longer before it starts to wither and rot. So we're going to try and get what we can off of it over the next week, and nothing's going to waste. So on our little tour to the back there, nothing else really significant damage, no damage to any apple trees or anything like that, which is great. So hopefully that's the end of the excitement for this storm season. I highly doubt it, but it's been one heck of a year. I mean, we've had more storms than I think we've ever had, and that I can remember anyways. It's been a wet year, which has been really, really amazing for the garden, so perhaps there'll be a garden tour coming up. I might have to do a little bit of work in the jungle first though, because it's really weedy. The weeds are growing just as fast as everything else. But have a fantastic day, and we'll catch up later.